Name something that gets passed around.
A joint.
A joint?
Legalized marijuana is always a very difficult question.
The time is long overdue for us to remove the federal prohibition on marijuana.
From now on, I smoke weed exclusively with white people.
Well, I'm getting higher next time.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man, the Snoopy Poop Dog.
There's definitely cannabis in there, and it makes sure that I can sleep now.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel?
Don't piss off your old dealer.
Marijuana is not the kind of thing that ought to be legalized.
I know you're not supposed to admit that you smoke pot, but I don't drink alcohol.
Let's get out of here. I have some really good weed back at the hotel.
I used to smoke marijuana.
I don't care if an adult wants to smoke marijuana. They shouldn't go to prison for it either.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Time for Toker Talk Radio. And for this hour, I've got more highlights from the Boise Hempfest. Longtime listeners, you'll remember my 420 radio days, and we used to host a lot of great podcasts on 420 Radio. 420 Radio still exists. It's an all-music channel now, and I encourage you to check it out at 420radio.org. But one of my favorite podcasts on that show came from Washington. It was called Green Stream Radio, and one of the hosts was Grandma Cat Jeter. Here she is speaking at the Boise Hempfest.
Next up, we've got Grandma Cat. Cat Jeter has been helping out patients in Washington, and now she's branching out to other states. She's famous for the whole plant extract, Deep Green. She's not making money off of this. She's giving a lot of it away to children that are needing, specifically some very children that have been diagnosed with some really bad diseases. So let's hear it for Cat Jeter.
Hello, Boise. Hey, can you all hear me way out there in the back? Right on. Thanks for the wave. Because I'm going to ask y'all to do something. We're going to call this little 5-minute gig Lessons Learned from a Legal State. They're not all good lessons, my friends. So you're going to get to legalization. I'm confident of it. This is, as our last speaker was saying, this is the will of the people. And it's happening in state after state after state. The people are taking power if the legislatures don't hear them and get ahead of it. But it's happening. And it's collective consciousness. Do we all know the word zeitgeist, right? Which is people taking charge of themselves and creating the popular culture. This is happening. There's no stopping it. It's just when you're going to get to it. But let me tell you a couple lessons learned from a legal state. Someone's got to go first, right? Okay, first let's get the big elephant out of the room. Everyone says, Colorado's a success, Washington is not. Baloney. Colorado was the first big business model. Took $500,000 in the bank to apply for the license. Nowadays, 80% of the Colorado market is served by no more than 8 firms. Goodbye, mom and pop. Okay, Washington is a failure, right? Because Washington is a mom and pop state. Oi, 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 oi. Here's what I want to tell you. You're going to have to learn if you're going to be legal, if you're going to follow a small, historical, and independent producer model. You're going to have to hug and love some people that you actually disagree with a little bit. You might all disagree on the fact that maybe CBD in isolation works great. Okay, we can disagree on that. We might have to disagree on the fact of taxation, right? 4 years ago, I was a pariah in Washington because I said we should tax cannabis. We should get ahead of our legislature because if we don't do it now, they're going to do it to us later and it'll hurt a lot worse, right? It does. Right now, unless you're willing to give the state your name and go on a database that's been hacked no less than 3 times in the last 9 months, they said it would be safe. You pay 47% taxes on your cannabis, right? So what's happening in Washington State now is ultimately we have to compete with the black market from the regulated state, right? So what this means is the legal farmers are losing their shirts. Cannabis is a commodity nowadays, friends. It sells for as little as 35 cents a gram in some cases, right? But if you're going to pit a black market against a legalized market, you're going to have to equalize prices somewhere, and right now that's falling on the farmers. I know farmers in Washington State who have invested every dime they've got, and they're back to selling in the black market as well because they cannot pay their bills in the legal world. Now, why is this? I'm going to come back to you're going to have to hug a couple of folks that you don't like. Because what we know in Washington is we squandered our power, I believe, as the people, in that we got fractioned. Some of these people believed in this thing. Some of these people believed in this thing. Someone thought 5% taxes was a good idea. Well, no, it's our meds. Someone thought no THC. Well, you know what? You can't go along dividing your community and expect to stand together. So what we've seen in Washington is we agree on 97% of the issue, but our legislature has had their way with us because we could not stand united. So I'm going to ask you all, I know you're surrounded by people you don't know. I'm going to ask you right now to turn to someone you don't know and shake their hand or give them a hug and say, I am down to fight for cannabis. I am down to fight for cannabis. I don't see any hugging going on out here. Let's see some handshakes. Let's make some new friends. Some of you vendors have got brand new people there trying to buy your products. You don't know their name. You don't know where they live. You don't know if you can count on them at that next rally. You're gonna have to stand together, my friends. It is one love, not 97%. It is one love. 100% love in our community wins the day. It's okay to disagree on things. We all agree we will be better off when cannabis is legalized. I'll be talking a little bit later about some of the corporate predators you're going to want to avoid. So I'm Grandma Kat from Tacoma, Washington. If you know kids that need help right now with cannabis oil, we turn no children away. There is no child in this country that does not deserve to be served with cannabis oil. And I am ready to run around the courtroom if that's what it takes. Children in West Virginia, children in Idaho deserve the right to live every bit the same as a child in Washington, California, Oregon. And anyone who wants to take that issue up, tell them to come see Grandma Kat.
That's Kat Jeter speaking at the Boise Hempfest this Saturday. What a great event, and they'll be back next year. They're not going to stop, and I'm not going to stop going there, even though I have to drive through, about 50 miles of illegality. And you really feel it, too, man. You cross that Snake River, and it's like, wow, I'm committing a crime right now just by existing. It's just something nobody should have to go through, and we're going to keep fighting until that is over. More people from the Boise Hempfest coming up. After this break, Craig Beresh from the California Cannabis Coalition. He's moved to Idaho. Imagine living in California and fighting in the medical marijuana field as long as he has, and then moving to Idaho. That's right back when we return.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
In the interest of fair and balanced journalism, the Russ Belville Show presents the anti-drug public service announcement of the day.
McGruff here. I want you to learn a song that tells people to say no to drugs. Users are losers and losers are users. So don't use drugs. Don't use drugs. Winners don't use and users don't win. So don't use drugs. Don't use drugs. If you know a user even part of the time, tell them to quit, take a bite out of crime. Users are losers and losers are users. So don't use drugs. Don't use drugs. Okay, everybody. If you know a user even part of the time, tell them to quit, take a bite out of crime. Users are losers and losers are users. it to your mom and dad and brothers and sisters and friends to help take a fight on a crime. You
This has been the Russ Belville Show's anti-drug public service announcement of the day, exclusively on RadicalRuss.com.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at RadicalRuss.com. I have a package here for Radical Rick. Is there a Radical Rick here? How about a Rick Russ? Any Rick Russ? Somebody named Freddie Barack has sent him a package. Anybody? What is that? Sounds like a skunk. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. 11 after the hour. More from the Boise Hempfest, where the California Cannabis Coalition founder, Craig Beresh, has now moved to the Gem State. He's getting active there as well, looking to bring medical marijuana to the island of prohibition that is the state of Idaho, surrounded on all sides by legality, CBD oil, and medical marijuana. We turn things over now to the Boise Hempfest and Craig Beresh.
The president of the Cannabis Coalition and the American Cannabis Coalition president, Craig Beresh. He's been an activist in several states trying to get medical marijuana and legalizing marijuana. So let's hear it for Craig Beresh.
Hey. Happy 420 early, everybody. You know, I've recently moved up here. I'm the president of California Cannabis Coalition and a lot of different organizations, and they're all names basically. And the bottom line is, what we strive to do is make access available for everybody. And Idaho pisses me off on that lines. Beautiful state. I live here now. I couldn't go anywhere else. But when it comes to people like Governor Otter and them putting out resolutions saying they'll never legalize cannabis, they say CBD oil's bad, he vetoes a law, that's bullshit. And we need to change that. And one of the things that I've done through our organization is we've reversed 18 bans. I've helped legalize 3 states. It's not up to the government to make the people's decision. It's up to the people. And in order to do that, we need to stand together, group together. I've gone to some of the meetings here. I've been out where they're doing the initiative and everything, and I don't see a lot of people there. In order for us to reverse bans, we've had to have a small army of people come up and get out there and work together. It can't be done by me, Russ, 1 or 2 people. It needs a small army of people to do it. We need to come together. We can do initiatives and referendums, and we're the word. We are the people. We can do what we want to do and make it law if we do this. So one of the things I want to implore everybody to do is come together and get into your local meetings. Come together and unify. Become one party. We can move mountains doing that. It doesn't take much. Money's out there. If we came together and come up with something good, we can fund it easily. There are people out there that support this and will help. So that's not a problem. What the problem is the people need to come out of the closets and stand up. You know, I moved out here right before the snow came. And I was kind of amazed when 3 days after I moved here, cops were knocking on my door about smoking weed. Like, what the hell? You know, we can't have that. It's not... Got quiet all of a sudden. we can't have that, you know, that paranoia. There's states all around us. The United States has now taken on a movement. These people that have their own opinions, that's their opinions. We need to have the freedom. I don't like being paranoid. I don't like having to go and hide to get high, to make sure I'm not going to go to jail. And believe me, in Idaho, a lot of people go to jail over getting high. We need to stop that. And that takes everybody to come together and stand together to do that. So I guess my big message is, get out to your local meetings. Stand up. Don't be afraid. If you're afraid, you're not getting anywhere. If you're hiding, you're not getting anywhere. If you're part of the problem if you don't come out. We need to stand up, one people, one love, and work together. How many of you guys want to see legalization? How many of you want to see medical marijuana here? We talk about medical side of it, which is an important side. We need to bring that in here right now. We have people dying that are given opiates. Idaho doesn't have a great insurance program for those of us that are poor, that don't have insurance, and we need to get some kind of medicine, and we don't have that available to us. They want to hook us on opiates and break us. No. We can't have that. We need to fight it. People have a right to medicate themselves. People have a right to die in dignity, to be able to be comfortable when they're having cancer treatments. My wife, who stands here with me, her mother-in-law died recently of bone cancer. My father died about 3 months ago of ALS. And the big thing for them is we talk about this stuff. We talk about the medical, but until, you stand there and watch somebody puking their guts out, and you hand them a volcano bag, and you watch them take one hit, and suddenly they stop puking, that's where it hits right here. And that's what it's about, compassion and love for our neighbors and love for our people. Do y'all stand with me? Who will stand with me and fight? And fight to legalize Idaho. I can't hear you. That's what I want to hear. Let's make this happen. I don't know how much time I got left here, but I got plenty, okay? Great. Tell me that, we're going to be in trouble. The worst part is I'd love to be handing out joints right now, but I've already seen cops driving by taking my picture. Happy 420. I'm wearing my jersey so that you all know that it's about us getting out there and fighting it.
Coalition Cannabis buttons!
There you go. There's some buttons. Come on up and get some buttons. So if y'all want to make it happen here, if y'all want to make it legal here, or if you just want medical marijuana here, then make sure that you show up at the next meeting that the local groups have. There's an initiative going on here. Make sure you sign the initiative and get out there and support it. That means don't be afraid to go out and pick up signatures. Don't be afraid of somebody giving you a hard time, because you're standing up for the right thing. You're standing up for that compassion for your brothers and sisters out there. And that's what it's about. We the people. We the people demand our right to cannabis in this state. We the people will do this. I'm glad to talk to everybody out here. I hope the next speaker is here, because I'll keep going and going until hand. Okay, I see her. So anybody, y'all support? Y'all gonna go out to the next meeting? Show up, come out of the closet, and not be afraid, and fight for your right to smoke weed.
That's Craig Beresh speaking at the Boise Hempfest. Be right back with some Cheryl Shuman. Coming up here on our retrospective of the Boise Hempfest. The founder of the Beverly Hills Cannabis Club. You've seen her on CNN and Fox Business News, The View, Ricky Lake, and other shows. She made her way to Boise, and we got that next.
Sorry ass motherfucker got nothing on me, right?
I guess you're right, Brock. Boy, since he left the White House, he sure has become a lot more laid back, don't you think? Anyway, it's 4:20. That means it's time for us to take our union-mandated safety briefing. As I mentioned, when we come back, Cheryl Shuman's speech, her first one from Boise Hempfest, will have her longer speech on tomorrow's show. Then we'll follow up with Megan Holt and Adela Falk as well. When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The law office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com.
You're not high. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show.
I would imagine that there's probably a gun in the school to protect from potential grizzlies.
All right. Well, maybe you're high, too. Remember, friends, there's more to life than marijuana. I just can't remember what it is. Why'd I come in here? This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
All right, we continue our look at the Boise Hempfest. We got more audio from great speakers, and it was such an amazing turnout of talent from Washington and Oregon and California. It's like the entire West Coast is trying to drag Idaho into the 21st century. Come on, man, we want to bring you into legalization or medical marijuana or hell, even CBD oil. I mean, Utah has CBD oil, for God's sake. They started it. Anyway, here she is, the founder of the Beverly Hills Cannabis Club and a good friend of mine, Cheryl Shuman. She spoke at the Boise Hempfest.
Our next guest has come all the way out here from, she flew down to L.A. to drive to Sacramento to fly here. Amazingly, she goes all over. She's leaving from here to go to, I think, Pennsylvania. She's been speaking all over the place. She has been referred to as the Martha Stewart of marijuana. She's also, she ran the Cannabis Club of Beverly Hills, or maybe it's the Beverly Hills Cannabis Club. Beverly Hills Cannabis Club. She's got some really nice ashtrays she's selling. Say Beverly Hills Cannabis Club. They're awesome. And she also is a very big supporter of the Moms for Marijuana. So let's hear it for Cheryl Shuman, the woman that took it to another level. Cheryl Shuman.
Thank you. Hi there, everybody. How is Boise, Idaho? I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. So, my name is Cheryl Shuman. Some of you may have seen me on TV. I'm always on CNN, MSNBC, Fox Business News. I even smoked marijuana with Geraldo Rivera live on Fox News just to teach him how we do it. I'm here to support Sarah Frank and Adela Falk here and Russ Belville and all of the amazing activists here. And I also wanted to be here because, you know, Cat Cheater! Oh my God! Shout out to Cat Cheater! There are amazing activists here, truly, from all over the world, and there's some amazing people here. Billy in the front row here, he has changed the course of history with Sarah Frank when they led the fought to get his daughter back, baby Lily, and they changed the course of history by creating new laws so that we don't have to lose our children anymore because we're cannabis consumers. We are patients, we are not criminals, and we don't have to lose our jobs anymore. And you know what? Down in Beverly Hills, I think people, you know, when you're rich and you don't have to worry about things, you know, it's not the same thing, but people are still going to jail. Here in Boise, Sarah stood up and she purposely got arrested and did her civil disobedience to make notice of the fact that in some states, they are making millions, if not billions of dollars, you guys. And look, I think that's great. I think we should all be able to create businesses and live a life of authenticity, doing the things that we love. And what's wrong with creating jobs in the cannabis industry? If Trump wants jobs, we've got them, and we've got to stand up for them. One thing I hope you realize right now, and Sarah Frank is entering the house back on the golf cart, but I want to take a ride on. But anyway, you know, it's 4 420 week. And for 420, you know, there's events everywhere. I was invited to Milan. I was invited to Monaco, to Denver, to Florida, to Israel, all over the world. But you know what? There's no place I'd rather be than right here with you and supporting my friends who are still on the front lines. And we cannot forget that there are people still fighting. There are people still serving life in prison for having a joint and have lost their entire lives. We can't stand for that anymore. So my philosophy is, let's build successful careers. Let's support our women. Let's support our moms, and Moms for Marijuana specifically, which is the largest, oldest, biggest marijuana activism source for moms and for women, bigger than all of the other women's activism organizations combined, and that was born right here in Boise, Idaho. And you guys should be proud of that. So, what I did is we're going to be documenting a lot of this, and I want to include it in some of the media that I've done. I'm constantly shoving cameras in the face of people, but you know something? I still can't believe sometimes that we don't have news cameras all over the place, because this is history. We are making history. We are witnessing history. And you know what? We are going to win. Never doubt that a small group of people can change the world, because in fact it is the only thing that ever has, and we can do this. I believe in you, and we have to believe in ourselves. Last but not least, Sarah told me you guys liked stickers, so everyone that comes back to our booth, I'm going to give you a free sticker, and we've brought some Beverly Hills Cannabis Club 14-karat gold leaf stash jars and, what are they called? Ashtrays. Blonde and a stoner. It's a dangerous combination. But I brought an entire suitcase full of these because I'm hoping to raise some money for Moms for Marijuana, so that when we have women out there who need legal help, we can help them with legal services, or we can help them try to get their kids back, or we can try to help them in any way that they might need. And so I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening. God bless you all. And let's change the world and start a revolution. I know we can.
Cheryl Shuman, ladies and gentlemen. Cheryl Shuman.
Cheryl Shuman speaking at the Boise Hempfest. And when we return, we've got more great activism. Megan Holt from Washington State, who's gone through more as a mother than anybody should ever have to. Her story will break your heart, but her perseverance will warm your soul. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
New beginner guitars and banjos are often constructed much better than ones built before your time. Why struggle? Get a new instrument or fix the old one. The trusted professionals at the Fingerboard Extension will evaluate your instrument for free. Repairs are priced for people who work for a living. Stop by the Fingerboard Extension downtown Corvallis at 120 Northwest 2nd Street today, or check out its inventory on the web at fingerboardextension.com.
You're not high. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show.
People addicted to marijuana are 3 times more likely to be addicted to heroin.
Okay, well, maybe you're high, too. Warning. Hits taken on this show are larger than they appear. Do not try this at home. These people are professionals. Or at least they pay me to say that.
Oh, gnarly!
A public service message from the Russ Belville Show. Pod 2.0. It's not your father's Woodstock weed. This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Half past, and in this bottom half hour, we've got more great speeches. A couple more fantastic female activists that spoke out at the Boise Hempfest, including the amazing Megan Holt, who comes up next. She's a mother of a child dealing with Zellweger syndrome. It's just heartbreaking what this illness does. Then, after our next break, Adela Falk from POW 420. And then my second speech at the Boise Hempfest. This is Megan Holt.
Okay, and we're going to hand out some more prizes as soon as we've heard from another activist. We're going to get Megan Holt up here. Megan Holt has been lobbying in the state of Washington because she believes that cannabis can save children, and she knows firsthand from her own child. So let's hear it from Megan Holt.
2 years ago, I had to do something that no parent should have to do. I planned a funeral for my 2-year-old daughter because her medical team informed me that after trying 26 pharmaceuticals and spending 8 weeks watching our child code on a daily basis for 2 hours, that they were out of options. It was time to take her home to die. I couldn't accept this. I had experienced a child who lived for 18 hours 1 year before getting pregnant with Madeline and had 2 stillborns 2 years before that. I couldn't accept someone telling me that my child was going to die. So I did what any 21st century parent does and what the doctors tell you don't ever do. I Googled it. I Googled intractable epilepsy, and you know what came up? Third result, 38 seconds, projectcbd.org. And I started reading, and I heard about this thing called full extract cannabis oil, not CBD hemp, full extract, using the whole plant. So I reached out, started making phone calls. I got connected with Deep Green Extracts, and they said, here, give her some oil. It'll make her comfortable through the night. My child was expected to die within hours or days. She suffers from a terminal genetic disease called Zellweger syndrome. You're probably asking yourself, what the heck is that? You've probably never heard of it because most kids don't survive past their first year of life. According to the National Institute of Health, that statistic has dropped to 6 months of life. This disease destroys the white matter of the brain. My daughter is deaf, blind, completely dependent on a feeding tube. She has osteoporosis, kidney stones, liver dysfunctions, anemia, coagulopathy, seizures. You name it, it's going on. When I gave her cannabis, she went 8 days completely seizure-free. We found out that one of the anti-epileptics caused her right kidney to fill with stones. We gave her an opiate, OxyContin. She stopped breathing in my arms, needed an opiate reversal, and an intubation tube was placed. I started rubbing a full extract-infused cannabis topical Kush creams on her throat. She was extubated within 6 hours and back on the regular medical unit and out of intensive care. Today, my daughter is 4.5 years old, one of the oldest kids in the world with her disease, off of hospice, on 4 pharmaceuticals, and THC stops every single one of her seizures. The lies you've been fed, the things your government is telling you, shut up. It's not right. It's not legal here. Well, guess what? The government has a problem, not you. I'm saving my kid's life every day. As a mother, when I gave birth to my first child, I told myself, I will do whatever I have to for you. You are important. As moms, we know we would do anything to help our kids. We get them into the best schools. Even now, we're stigmatized if we don't feed them the right thing. God forbid you take your kid to a McDonald's. I give my kid cannabis, and my state tells me, well, that's okay that you save her life, but she can't go make friends at school. We don't allow cannabis at school. So the one thing that saves my daughter's life is preventing her from accessing an education. There's a problem. My daughter's grandfather lives in Idaho. We want to visit really bad, but we can't because Maddie can't live without cannabis. When people say, oh, well, Have you ever tried to go a day without it? No. Because a day without cannabis means a day without my daughter. If I had listened to the medical system, if I hadn't got smart and said, they're not right, they don't know what they're talking about, I'm her mom. I know what's best for my child. Cannabis. What they're telling you, Idaho, it's illegal here. No. Go tell your doctor you consume cannabis. You know why? Because it's best for your quality of life. I don't care why you use it. You need a break after work, and cannabis helps you feel a little bit better. Cannabis is improving your quality of life. My daughter needs cannabis because it improves the symptoms of an untreatable disease. That's improving her quality of life. We need to flood the system with positivity. Healthcare is a business. You are a customer. Doctors went to school. They make an educated guess about a diagnosis. Well, so do you. When you have an issue, you're thinking, God, it might be cancer, or, oh my gosh, maybe I just have a sore. But you're making a guess. When you go to a doctor, he prescribes a medication, making a guess that that medication is going to work. 99% of pharmaceutical drugs have side effects. The side effects of cannabis for my daughter. Biggest question, aren't you worried you're getting your baby high? If you've ever seen someone on OxyContin, that's high. Fentanyl. One of the biggest killers in our country right now was one of the first drugs they put on my 2-year-old child, and I had no idea what it did to people. My daughter could barely keep her eyes open. She was so drugged out, she couldn't even lift her hands to sign mama. I give her a dose of THC. She signs mama. She waves hello. She vocalizes. She rocks out to music. She kicks her legs, and she does the impossible. She lives. This is not an issue. This is an epidemic. We're talking about an opiate crisis. We have a cure. Cannabis. My daughter weaned methadone, gabapentin, Dilaudid, OxyContin, fentanyl, haloperidol, and 20 other pharmaceuticals with cannabis. She's deaf-blind. She's getting her oil in a feeding tube. She doesn't even know it's happening. There is no anecdotal. 200 days in the hospital, and I am now an advisor at Seattle Children's Hospital, creating an off-policy use of cannabis while inpatient. Go to Madeline's whole plan journey. I live stream dosing her in a federally funded hospital cannabis oil. A nurse walks in the room. I hope Maddie feels better in an hour. She will. We have to stop this. Speak up for yourself. It's your right. You elected these officials. You don't like what they're doing. I took my daughter to Olympia for 20 hours a week because I didn't like what my system was doing. They listened. I drafted legislation. It didn't pass, but it went through the House of Representatives. Passed out of both committees, got a 79-9 vote out of the House of Representatives, went through 2 committees in the Senate, was ready to go to the Senate floor, and the Republicans stepped in. And they killed the bill. But as a mom, I said, everyone told me, it takes 3 years to get a cannabis bill. You're crazy. You don't know what you're doing. You're new to the community. You're not seasoned. Well, I've been told not to do things before, and me being hard-headed, I went down there and I said, okay, you don't think this is right? Then me and my daughter are going to sit here for 10 hours until you listen to me. And they did. So if you don't like what your government is doing, make them listen. Sit in their offices. If they lock the door, call the police on them. It's your right. You elected them. Elected official. They serve the citizens, not themselves. I hope you all get the strength to stand up. Idaho is not forgotten. I'm new to this community, but I'm ready to take back the system. This is our country, not their country. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your Hempfest.
Megan Holt, thank you very much for your time. Your words.
You all want to hear from Adela Falk again. POW 420, Adela Falk, getting pot prisoners out of prison the way it's supposed to be done. Let's hear from Adela Falk.
All right, Boise Hempfest. Are y'all having a good time today? All right, well, I thank all of you for pot smoking. And I thank all of you for being federally disobedient, because that's the way that we get rules to change. I mentioned this earlier, but every 36 seconds, someone is arrested for cannabis in the United States of America. It costs an average of $60 a day that your taxpayers' money pays for to keep these people incarcerated. So how many of y'all voted this year? Okay, so forget the president. Did you know that you're voting for your judges, your prosecutors, your district attorneys? The same people that are putting you in prison. So if you think voting doesn't matter, or that you're not taking any action by going and registering to vote, you're wrong. The only way that you can even get on to a jury, to exercise jury nullification, is if you have a driver's license from the DMV, or if you're registered to vote. So you can't even exercise your ability to take action if you guys aren't voting and making sure that this injustice is no longer going to happen. Do y'all think slave labor still exists in the United States of America? So a base inmate pay to being in prison is 9 cents an hour. 9 cents an hour. But if you have a high school diploma, that's 14 cents an hour. So every time you call a customer service representative, like let's say Victoria's Secret, you're talking to an inmate. You guys are talking to people that you're paying to keep in prison for something that we're celebrating doing at this exact moment. But nobody's voting. Nobody's going to jury duty. Nobody's taking action individually to end this war on drugs. We have to stop worrying about, I have my safe access, my children have their safe access, I can grow my 4 pot plants, and we need to worry about every single individual's oxymoronic safe access to cannabis. There's a new regime that can happen in any single moment that they can come in and arrest anybody they wanted. So if you guys are driving home today and you have pot on you and you get pulled over and the cop says, "Can I search your car?" What do you say? If you let them search your car, you lose your evidentiary hearing and all of your evidence will be used against you. So what's the other thing you do if you get pulled over by the cops? You shut the hell up. You don't say anything, because anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Now, I don't want to sound like a downer Debbie, but like I said, every 36 seconds in the United States of America, someone is arrested for pot. 60% of all of our prisons, whether they're federal or state, are for nonviolent drug offenders. Nonviolent drug offenders. 60% of our resources to keep people incarcerated could be going after rapists and murderers and actually keeping people safe. Marijuana has never killed anybody. Prohibition has. The cops coming to your door with guns at your face, throwing grenade bombs in and hurting your children, taking your children away through CPS. That is what is harmful. Anybody know the first state that put medical marijuana on the books? I wish that was true, and that's why I'm not preaching to the choir. We could thank Robert Randall for creating the IND program that allows 2 people to currently still receive 301 gram joints of marijuana from the federal government every month. 1975, New Mexico put medical marijuana on the books. The University of New Mexico issued 800 people marijuana for 8 years until the federal funding ceased. Why are we asking for rules and regulations for something that is doing us no harm? It is our body and our choices. Businesses will be regulated. What you do in your private home, what you grow in your house, and what you put in your body should not. 4 plants is not enough. 12 plants is not enough. We need not settle for regulation. If there is a law that you're even entertaining and passing or entertaining and voting that will allow anybody to continue to be arrested for a pot plant, you vote no, because that is not legalization, that is regulation. And until we stop putting people in prison for pot, we're not ending this war. This game isn't over. There is no winners. We are easy. 99% of all arrests in the United States of America end in a plea deal. 99% of you will plea out because they are offering you such amazing incentives. You're looking at life, and you're 35 years old, and you're pregnant, and you've been wanting to be a mom forever, and you're looking at 30 years. But if you narc on this person, you'll be out in 18 months. Are you kidding me? We need to not blame people for being put in a situation that our government is putting us in. We need to stand in unity. We need to vote not guilty. We need to go to jury duty. We need to vote, and we need to take action because it starts with every single one of you. One man, one woman can end prohibition. So the solution is what? And repeal cannabis from the Controlled Substance Act, right? No mens rea, no intent. It is a victimless crime. Nobody's been hurt. Sit on jury duty, exercise jury nullification, remain silent when it comes to you, vote not guilty. And everybody who's a cultivator and a provider will feel the love and the warmth in the community, and we'll all be able to provide for one another, and we'll all be celebrating with all of our pot prisoners released. Oh, by the way, one really simple thing that we can do when we're writing initiatives, if you guys are making it an ailment-based initiative, put a little clause in there that says, or any other ailment which cannabis causes relief. Because a migraine to you may not feel like a migraine to that other person. And another little silly clause you could put in, within 30 days of passing this initiative or this proposal, all people in prison will be released. And we will no longer tolerate anybody being arrested for a plant. And that's what we're here today to remember and to celebrate. And be safe driving home, never consent to a search and seizure, and always remain silent, and donate to Idaho Hempfest, because without this, then this education wouldn't be happening. And I am appreciative of it. And thank you guys.
That's Adela Falk from POW 420 speaking at the Boise Hempfest. We're going to take a short break, literally a very short break, and come right back. My final speech at the Boise Hempfest, where I basically connected with the crowd of my fellow Idahoans, let them know that I'm one of them, despite being the only guy there in a suit, and a bow tie for that matter. Did I steal Bill Nye's wardrobe? What's going on here? Be right back, literally.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show.
In my view, the time is long overdue for us to remove the federal prohibition on marijuana.
You can find Radical Russ online everywhere. Warning, hits taken on this show are larger than they appear. Do not try this at home. These people are professionals. Or at least they pay me to say that. This is Dan Michaels from DanMichaelsAudio.com, and you're listening to Radical Russ on CannabisRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. 48 after the hour, and for the last segment of the day, my final speech at the Boise Hempfest. I was speaking at the Julia Davis Band Shell there in the park, which I've played at before. You'll hear me mention that. And it's just always wonderful to go back to the park. And my folks came out as well. My mom's turning 70 this year. My dad's 75. It was good to see them out in the park. Nice sunny day. A little bit cold, but it was all right.
Hello, Idaho! My name is Russ Belville, and I was born in Nampa, Idaho, some 49 years ago and change. In 1992, I actually played on this band shell. I had hair then. Played in a rock band, like these guys, man. Played music. And the whole time, I was a pot smoker, a weed head, a stoner. How many people out here like marijuana? How many people out here like cannabis? How many people like hemp? All right, so we're all cool. We can talk, right? So I was a stoner. I was a pothead. I was a rock and roll musician. But playing rock and roll music in Boise, Idaho, sometimes is a little tough to pay the bills. Right? Yes. So I also happen to be really good at computers. And this was the 80s, the 90s. Not a lot of people were really good at computers back then. So I got myself all these corporate jobs. I don't know if you noticed, but I kind of worked in the corporate world. Kind of shows, right? And every day I'd go into work and I'd work on computers and I'd program things and I'd fix things and set people's passwords and back things up on tape. And I was a really good worker, man. I'd come in 8 in the morning. I'd work through lunch. I wouldn't take lunch break. I'd stay late to get things fixed. I always got these great reviews. They said, "Oh, Russ, you're so good. Excellent worker. We love what you do." And then I'd go home and load a big fat bowl. Suck it down. And the next day, guess what? I get up, I go to work, I do a great job, work through lunch, people say you do great, great, go home and load a big fat bowl. And I did this for years in Idaho. Years. And believe it or not, it was still illegal back then. It was as prohibited then as it is now, and yet somehow I was always able to buy a bag. I was always able to find some weed. I was always able to find someone's house to hang out with and share a bowl. So it didn't seem like anyone was too concerned. My life went on pretty well. I played music at night. I did corporate work during the day. But there was one catch, one little catch. And that was I never did the corporate work full time. Like I was never a hired employee. I was always a temp. I was always a contractor. Because here's the thing. When you're a contractor, they don't P-test. You get the full-time job, they P-test. And I was like, I ain't going to take a P-test. I P for enjoyment, not for employment. The only test you're going to get out of my P is a taste test. You know what I'm saying? So we don't play that. So I did all these temp jobs. I did these contract jobs. And I got these great reviews. And then 6 months, the contract would be over. I'd go to the next contract job for 3 months and do a great job. I'd go to the next one for a year, do a great job. After a while, though, I got older, and I need things like health care and retirement and a nicer car, and maybe a house would be cool. And I ended up marrying a woman here in Boise, Idaho, who I'd met. And I'd been a stoner for about 10 years, and I was getting away with it. Now, of course, I do have what comedian Paul Mooney calls the complexion of protection. That helped a lot. I also have a cop's haircut. That helped a lot. I also don't have any visible tattoos. That helped a lot. But generally, I was able to be a stoner for over a decade in Idaho, no problems, never had an incident, never got pulled over, never had an issue or a worry. But then I got married to this woman. And this woman, she had endometriosis and chronic migraine. I'll translate. Endometriosis is cramps from hell, and chronic migraine are headaches from hell. To the point where, like, she couldn't go to work, and she was also allergic to all these drugs they'd give you for that. So she couldn't take the typical pain relievers, right? When she'd get these severe migraines, I'd have to take her to the emergency room, and they'd shoot her up with Demerol. Demerol, don't make any plans. Brought to you by Demerol, right? So after about 6 emergency room visits, I said, you know, this is getting spendy. Why don't you just smoke a joint? Now, she knew I was a pot smoker. There was no secret there. But she never smoked pot because, oh, it's not for me. I don't want to be a pot person. Yeah, it's okay for you. You're okay, but I don't. I said, honey, I ain't taking you to the emergency room. Try this weed. And she smoked it, and boom. This was like, I was never a medical guy. Like, I was never like, yeah, medical, whatever. But I saw her in pain, and it was like, boom. Just went away. The pain just disappeared. And I said, oh, my God, honey. This is good and this is bad. This is good because we figured out a medicine that's going to help you. This is bad because you're a noob. You're a newbie. You're going to get me busted. I've been a stoner in this state for 10 years in Canyon County, mind you. Canyon County, the conservative part of Idaho. Kind of like saying the sauna in hell. But anyway, so I said, honey, we got to move. We got to get to Oregon. We got to get someplace where you're not going to get me arrested. So we moved to Portland, Oregon. And I got involved with activism. I got involved helping people and mentoring all sorts of incredible women, surprisingly enough, from Georgia to California and Washington, all over the place, and got really involved in this activism thing, and it's come to fruition in Oregon. My God, it's legal in Oregon. You guys go across the border? You guys go to Huntington? Who goes to Huntington? Yeah! Let's hear it for our good friends there at the, what was it, High Hope Farms? Hotbox Farms, thank you, Hotbox Farms in Eastern Oregon. 420ville too, what the hell? And I used to go, back in the day, we used to go across to Ontario to Big Al's. Anybody ever go to the Red Eye Hut back in the day? My older tokers, there's my man. We used to go to the Red Eye Hut. So it's beautiful in Oregon, right? There's no amount of marijuana you can possess in the state of Oregon and get a felony. They pulled over a guy who had 19 pounds in his trunk, misdemeanor charge. No amount you can possess and get a felony. And yet, I come here to Idaho, I'm a criminal just standing here. Literally, Idaho has a law. It is against the law to be under the influence of a controlled substance in a public place. It's a 6-month, $1,000 fine, misdemeanor. If anybody smoked pot in the past 24 hours, you're as guilty as I am right now. The cops could roust us all and charge us with misdemeanors. Idaho's a weird place, man. And I want to help this state so bad. I want to bring this state out of the dark ages. Y'all are surrounded. You know that, right? You got Washington and Oregon and Nevada legal around you. You got Utah and Wyoming with CBD oil. You got Montana and Canada with medical marijuana. And Canada's going legal next year. 1 out of 5 Americans lives in a state now where it's legal. Idaho ain't one of them. 2 out of 5 more Americans live in a state where it's medical. Idaho ain't one of them. 1 more out of 5 Americans live in a state where CBD oil is legal. Your governor vetoed that. So what are we going to do? We're going to just accept that? Well, this guy's not going to accept it. You going to accept that? Are we going to accept this in Idaho? Are we going to do something about it? This is what you do. You get registered to vote. You go back to that table back there and you start signing petitions where that man's holding a sign that says red letters there, sign this petition. Go back and help these people, because it was just as scary to us in Oregon trying to legalize. We didn't get it right our first time. We tried in 2006 and failed. 2008 and failed. 2010 tried dispensaries and failed. 2012 when Colorado and Washington are passing, we failed again. Took us like 5 times before we kind of got it right. It may take you guys a few times, but I'll tell you what, I promise I'll keep coming back every year to help if you'll keep coming back every year. What do you say? I promise they'll keep coming back to help if you keep coming back to help. What do you say? Do you want legal weed? Do you want medical marijuana? Do you want industrial hemp? All right, so let's do it. Let's never doubt that we can do this, that all of us can band together. I'm just an old bar band rock and roll musician from Nampa, Idaho. And now I've traveled to 60 different cities in 3 countries, and I'm writing for High Times and a bunch of other outlets, and I'm living the dream. I always wanted to be a professional pothead. My high school guidance counselor, she didn't see the wisdom in that, but I knew there was something there. So thank you so much. It's great to be back home, and I'm going to keep coming back here until this is legal, if you'll help me. Thank you so much. Sign up. Register.
There we go. The closing speech for the Boise Hempfest. My pleasure to go back there. And really, it's my dream that anything gets passed in Idaho. I would love to see Idaho move toward decriminalization. Don't jump straight to medical. Let's go to decrim. That's where Oregon started. We started with decrim. Let's take that step. I would move back to Idaho to lead a decriminalization campaign. It's also good to see my friend Mindy, the girlfriend of the guitar player who introduced me to my first joint back in 1990. Tracked me down through Facebook and came to the park to see me speak. That was so cool. Nice to see you, Mindy. For everyone here at Delta 9, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down.
not high. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show.
Marijuana is 3 times stronger than it was in the 1980s.
All right. Well, maybe you're high, too.